All right, here we go. Overdrive, off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app. Your home smart speaker up on TSN 2. Taking care of business. Bryan Hayes,
What the hell was that?
O'Neill, and Jamie.
Did you ask for that?
I was shocked. I'm in here looking at JP. I mean, there's been a real influx of like new music, country music, different types of music, and then Turner Bachman Overdrive or BTO Bachman Turner Overdrive. Absolutely floors it out of the gate. I love it.
That gives me flashbacks. Your buddy Tux used to skate out to that in Kamloops. It was so obnoxious.
Really? Was that the Kamloops song to get the boys rocking?
Taking care of business.
I had no idea Tux played in Kamloops.
Oh, yeah. Just ask
You'd never know.
12 Memorial Cup rings.
Yeah, you'd never know.
I heard that song, and I thought, like, Hayes, you might have signed like some business agreement, or it just was like it was right in your grill. It was just right off the hop, like taking care of biz. I'm like, somebody's got a deal cooking or something.
JP's rocking, man. JP's in a mood. He's loving life, and it felt appropriate because that's exactly what we're going to do for the next 3 hours, right? We're taking care of business.
Absolutely.
And I love it. I was not anticipating that song. You never know what you're going to get, but mixing it up, I think, is a smart move. Right, JP? I like that move. I say mix it in more often. I'd say once a month, start us off with a little.
And it's got to be like cooking.
Business.
It's just like coming right in with the main verse there. Like just because when he started that, there was no leaning into it. It was just taking care of business. And I'm like, we are grooving right now.
Yeah, we really are.
Exactly.
We're feeling it. We're feeling it, man. We're feeling it. It's like whenever we come back and they play The Boys Are Back in Town. Like, it's so predictable. The Boys Are Back in Town. It's like, yeah, all right, I guess. That's a good track.
Dude, you played in the O. I think half the barns in the O, regardless if the team hadn't been on the road or not, one of the periods that song was playing.
Yeah.
Like, the boys are back, and it's like, we've been here the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. We're literally on our 5th straight home game. We haven't left in 3 weeks. And I remember Van Halen was played a lot. Van Halen was big.
I would actually buy. I mean, that's such a stupid comment. I was gonna say I would buy the OHL soundtrack CD of just the tunes and like Hell's Bells and Metallica and the whole nine. But obviously, there's no CDs anymore.
No, but you know what I mean. I know what you mean. The album, whatever it is, greatest hits. But you know what'll happen is you're getting rocking and all that, and then that Stompin' Tom song comes on.
Stompin' Tom was always cooking, man.
Right?
I've told you guys, up in Sudbury, like Sudbury Saturday Night by Stompin' Tom, you would have played up there, I'm sure, on a Saturday night. Every second whistle, it was on a Sudbury Saturday night. It's like, all right, we get it.
No,
we
but
understand it.
I had
Sudbury.
the best example the other day because I thought about the O when I heard the song. I was in my car. And I have this kind of soft spot for like Metallica. You hear the odd song, and I'm cruising along and I hear thunder, and I'm like, I feel like I'm in Niagara Falls. Because every period it would be thunder, and it was just Metallica pumping out Thunderstruck.
Well, that's AC/DC. AC/DC pumping out Thunderstruck.
Yeah.
AC/DC. You got to get
my
that
apologies,
right. Got to get
my
that right.
apologies.
I was waiting for him to pivot. I wasn't
Yeah.
going to I wasn't going to correct you. I was waiting for you to pivot.
AC/DC
to
Thunderstruck in Niagara Falls. They had this dumpy little old barn.
The whole crowd would be going
nuts. Did you
nuts.
play in that old barn in Niagara Falls, Hayes? Or
Niagara was gone. When I was playing, it was gone. That's the wild thing about the OHL is like all these cities come and go. Like they're back in Brampton. They were in North Bay. They left North Bay. Now they're back in North Bay. They're back in Niagara, but Niagara wasn't there.
Mississauga's going to Brampton. It's insane.
I know.
It's crazy what goes on. Who knows how the politics of it.
So Niagara was there when you played and like it's gone? Like it's
Dude, Niagara Falls, they would beat you. They had a dude on their team who used this Gretzky East and Scott Simon.
Yeah,
I believe that guy. That was his name, Scott Simon. This guy was Gretzky, man. He had 100 million points. Look up this guy's points in the O.
Well,
and they would just destroy you. And they had this little rinky-dink barn, and they would kill you in the corners. And it was just a weird. Like there were some cool barns, but you went to that barn, and it was one of those old school. And Hayes, you probably got all new barns in the O.
No,
You got punished, man.
I know. Well, you know who was probably the two greatest players in Niagara history was Steve Ludzik. Our buddy Ludsey was a stud, and he played with Steve Larmer. And I guess the two of them just destroyed the O when they were down in Niagara. But no, it was kind of a hybrid when I was in the O because there's still old rinks. Like Peterborough's still old, Sudbury's still old. I think they've updated Kingston. But even London, like I played in the old Ice Palace or whatever down in London. Remember the like purple seats and green seats, and now you go down to that London building. It's 10,000 people. It's unbelievable. Yeah. Like they own the city and they sell out 8, 9, 10,000 people for every game. Where I was there when they were bad, and Rick Nash I think went 3rd overall in the Knights, and he was a stud down there. But the buildings was terrible.
Wow,
it's an awful building.
There was a time where the Knights weren't good. Seems like for me, it seems they've always had, amazing teams. They've kind of like got the imports in and all of that, and basically guys who are saying, I'm not going to go to junior, and all of a sudden they show up.
I think they've made the playoffs. I just saw a tweet from the London Knights the other day. They've made the playoffs like 25 years in a row, or so. It might be more. It's insane.
I was there in 2000, 2001. They weren't that good. Kitchener still got the old Coliseum. We were up there a few years ago for the Prospects game. Like, that's a great building, man. You don't want to lose those buildings. Those have a lot of character. And I guess Easton Cowan, last time I checked, he's got a 24-game point streak. And I was not aware of this. Do you guys know who holds the record for points in consecutive games in OHL history?
Eric Lindros?
No, but he is a friend of the show, one of our favorites.
Let me guess.
Go ahead.
Dougie Gilmour.
Dougie Gilmour up in Cornwall. Dougie, 55 games in a row with a point.
Smokes.
Dougie was just destroying the league.
Do you know who would have covered that streak? The Quizmaster. He would have been on the beat for the Cornwall Royals.
Come on.
I swear he would have been on that 55-game point.
Yeah, that was his. You're right, because Bobby Mack started up in Sault Ste. Marie covering the Greyhounds.
Yeah. The Quizmaster was covering the Cornwall Royals. I think that was his first hockey gig, and then he moved on to the Hockey News, to TSN.
I love it.
He would have been around Dougie Gilmour's point streak.
We got to ask him that.
Yeah, the Quizmaster was the Jonas of the Cornwall Royals.
It sounds like it. There's another team that disappeared a long time ago. Like, Cornwall has not been in the OHL in 30 years.
Dude, they went to Newmarket, then they left Newmarket. I don't even know where the hell they went. They might have folded.
They might have folded. Yeah, they may have folded. I'm not sure. But
I remember playing in Seattle one night. I was 16 years old. The rink had chicken wire.
Yeah.
Like, no glass, just chicken wire. Like the cage. Like, that's how old the rink was.
That's an old
and
rink.
Gritty. And people were yelling at you, and a guy spit on me.
That's what was crazy about the old rinks, was that it was like at the Gardens. There was no barrier. Like, people were getting to their seats and walking on the bench. Like, I remember playing up in North Bay before they left. And you'd remember that old rink, like, it was a gritty, bad barn, and there was no barrier. Like, you'd be on the bench and a guy would reach over and like touch your helmet. And you're like, what are you doing? Like, and that was a big rivalry. There'd be, fights and hatred, and you'd be like, these fans are way too close. Like, way too close.
Dude, my first experience, I took my kids by that old rink in North Bay. I'm like, I used to play in here, and they were like, can we just leave, please? It wasn't like some majestic. We were at a soccer tournament. I'm like, I'm going to show you guys the rink in North Bay where I used to play in the OHL. And I drove in, and it didn't even look like a rink. And they were like, just get out of here. But I remember taping my stick and looking across the ice, and Dennis Bonvie was across the ice. Taping his stick with a cut-off shirt, and he had to, and I had heard horror stories because both my brothers played in the O about Dennis Bonvie. The guy was like the toughest guy ever in the O, and I looked across, and I'm like, I don't know if I can do this, man. This league is outrageous looking at Dennis Bonvie.
Yeah. No, you're right, man. You get to the O, guys would have beards in like training camp, and you're like, how is this possible?
Dude, I remember the O, and I think it's just because I'm older, but every guy looked 27 in the O when I played in the O.
I agree.
And I go now, and they look like they're 17. They all look 17. Yeah. I remember the O. Guys looked like they were like Racky. Yeah. Like they just wanted to poke your eye out.
I know. Wow. It's so true, man.
I'm looking at Bonvie's stats. 64 games played in North Bay, 3 goals, 21 assists, 316 minutes.
Dude,
That's 40 fights. That's 40 fights.
That guy was a man killer. And you see him scouting now, nicest guy in the world. He's got glasses on. He looks like just a regular dude. The guy was a man killer.
Yeah.
A man killer in the O.
Oh,
I know.
God.
Like, and as bad as it was for us, think about like Dougie Gilmore when he was playing in Cornwall. Like there would have been guys literally trying to break his ankles, face, everything.
And Dougie Gilmore probably weighed 140 pounds in the O.
And he's just dangling the whole league for 55 straight
We got to
games.
get Dougie on tomorrow to talk about the O. Not the Leafs, the O.
Yeah, we want to hear about the O. And JP said, I guess it went Cornwall to Newmarket and then Newmarket to Sarnia, actually. So I guess Sarnia was where the Royals ended up. Wow. And Austin tweeting in with this is going to ring true. And I would guess every rink in the Canadian Hockey League absolutely played this into the ground. Cotton Eye Joe was a song that just got
Cotton Eye Joe.
And it's like, who wants this song, man? Like, it's just such an aggravating song.
Dude, I'm pretty sure the guy in Guelph, Cotton Eye Joe and Hell's Bells, and he just went one or the other.
Right,
click
shuffle.
and click.
Shuffle. It would just it had no bearing on the context of the game, overtime, Game 7.
Someone just got in his ear and said, "Fire up, Cotton Eye Joe."
Yeah.
The fans wanted.
Well, you know what it was? You know what it was, though? It was the people that were older in the stands are like, that Metallica, that AC/DC's too loud. You got to turn it down. Put on. So they would go, all right, let's go with the Cotton Eye Joe. So they'd go back and forth from Cotton Eye Joe right back to AC/DC or Metallica or one of the heavier. So that's and then when people would complain about it, it's back into the Stompin' Tom and all of that. Like that was the mix back then.
I
was really
remember
heavy.
that. I remember like I was kind of young enough where this was actually borderline shocking, and I think it lasted a few games before I'm pretty sure either the GM or the owner said it's got to stop. Is we created our own like music for the warm up. Like one of the vets, it wasn't like me or something, and there was like Limp Bizkit in there and stuff like that. It took like 2 games before they're like, "What are you doing?" Like that's why are you? Even...
somebody would be in the building for a warm up and caught a glimpse of it and said, "We don't want to listen to that. We heard a swear,
exactly,
and there's some other garbage in there, and it's done."
And then you lose, and then it becomes look. All you guys care about is the pregame warm up music. Like, where's your head at? It's like, all right, just relax. It was an off day. Does it really matter? Like, who cares?
I know, but people complain about one swear word or whatever. Mulls, our boy Mulls, just texted me and said, "How about Trooper? Raise a little hell."
Oh, you
God!
Yeah, raise a little hell for sure. That's
Keep them coming if you have like the national, like the national anthem for the OHL rinks.
Yeah.
Wow.
Raise a Little Hell was just a
raise
monster.
A little hell, raise a little hell, raise a little hell.
You know what, though? I feel like this is topical because the Leafs are playing in a junior building.
Right, exactly.
Like, I've been to that building. I was watching a game the other night that was there. I think it was the Edmonton game or whatever. They announced the attendance, and it was like 4780. And I was like, oh, my
honestly,
God, that's
crazy,
what it is.
Noodles, like the worst 2 teams in the OHL
4780 is in 4,780.
I swear to God, I heard it was the broadcast, whether Jack Michaels or Louis or something, capacity crowd here, 4780. Or I was like, I did a double take because I think doesn't it seat like 5,000?
$5,000 tops.
Like,
guys,
anyway.
I don't want to goof on the Arizona Coyotes, but you wonder how more guys haven't been like, I got one shot at this career. I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
Sorry. Like, I'm in the prime of my career. Like, if this Logan Cooley turned, like, Lawson Krause has been through it all. Like, how has he not put up his hand and said, can I... Well, I don't know, man. It's like 4,000 people, and you see other guys playing in Vegas in front of a packed barn with a quality team and a chance to win. It's one thing if you're playing in that barn, but when you're dumping 10 in a row, then you're like, kick,
that's it,
check,
man.
Please.
I mean, you saw like Matthew Nyes had that kind of backhanded smack where he was joking about going to the game tonight and
Full
he's on
segment.
the hook. Yeah, he's like, I'm on the hook for 50, 60 tickets, which in that building's probably a full
section,
which that's an Arizona guy that is goofing on the rink. That's
I'll
a
tell
guy
you
with
what.
pride in his community,
I'll tell
and he's
you what,
goofing on
Hazy,
it.
That no rink situation, if they had a gorgeous barn in Scottsdale, I don't think Auston Matthews has pen to paper right now. I'll guarantee you that, because he might want to sniff around to go home and play, but he's like, they're playing in a shoebox and their team stinks. I can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it would have crossed his mind.
It would have made him think.
And to your point, he didn't think for a second because of the situation they're in, right? I think at a minimum, you're right. They have a great building, winning culture, going to the playoffs every year. Basically, if you pick up Vegas and place it in Arizona, there's a chance he's playing there tonight for the other team. Absolutely.
Every top player would have to think of that, because you look at the markets. We talk about it all the time. If the market checks all the boxes, then, it's attractive. Like Toronto checks boxes for a lot of, especially Canadian players. It's like, okay, it's the Mecca. Like certain areas like New York, LA. But you're right. Vegas has become a destination. If Arizona was, quote unquote, a destination where it's like the building was rocking, the organization was on point, you're like, okay, every top player who was coming up would put their hand up and go, yeah, I want to be part of that. Right? That's not the case right now. It's chaos.
Yeah, it is.
They've lost 10 in a row, unfortunately. They haven't looked great. They're playing out of a building that seats 5,000 people. You hope that they turn the corner at some point, but we've been saying that
Who cares?
10
Exactly.
years.
I'm not hopeful at all. I say get out of there, personally. I mean, it's been a waste of time. And that's why Marty Walsh, the new head of the PA, went public at the All-Star game. He knew exactly where he was doing that, too. That's in Toronto.
Screw around.
He did not. And he wasn't representing the other 31 teams. He was representing exactly what you're saying, O. The guys on the Coyotes who were like, man, I'm in the NHL here, and I've got announcers coming in here and goofing on us saying, capacity crowd, 4,783.
Yeah. Dude, I did it, Hazy. I played in Greensboro. We decided we're relocating to Raleigh, which is an awesome place to play now. But for 2 years, we had to go to Greensboro, and I think people in Greensboro were like, who the hell are you guys?
Right.
They had to tarp off the top of the building because there was no one sitting there. And there was 2,500 people there on a Tuesday night to watch a Canadian team. And I'm like, this is the NHL. Not that I felt like I deserved much better, but I was like, I just played in Madison Square Garden the other night, and this is what we're chucking at them for our home barn in Greensboro?
That's the truth of like the draft. You go where you're selected. And if you get selected to a place where that's your opportunity, to say nothing of the facilities, which I'm sure they put time and money into, but it can't match what a state-of-the-art, arena is going to be able to supply. And yet, we might see some history tonight. We might see, I guess this would be the 6th season or 7th 50-goal season in Maple Leaf history, because Rick Vaive did it 3 times. Andrew Chuck did it once, Lehman did it once, and Matthews has done it. So 7th time in Leaf history, you could see a 50-goal season in front of 4,700 people.
It's still
4,700. We'll see it tonight.
Two things what you just said perplex me. Obviously, the 4,800 people or whatever, and the fact that the organization's been around 100 years. And it's only happened 7 times.
It's crazy. It is.
That's still like it's still. I mean, it's going to be amazing, all of that, but it's still. I don't know why I'm in disbelief with that. I just don't know why. Like, because the Leafs have had great players over the years. It's just, and Vaive's done it how many times? 3?
He did it 3 times. Yeah.
Man, oh man. So Matthews, this will be his second time because he was injured the last time, right?
Right, and he got to 60 a couple of times, a couple of years ago when he won his heart. But like that's the amazing thing is that like when he got to 60, remember it was right at the end of the year. I think he did it in Dallas. Did he break Vaive's record in Dallas or did he set the 60? I can't remember.
I think he tied and maybe broke Vaive's record in the same. I don't know. Maybe he broke it when he got home. Yeah. But he had a big one in Dallas.
In Dallas, he did something.
Yeah, it was a one-timer from Gio on the half wall.
Yes, and I want to say that set a new team record. It might have been a 60th, but he just got to 60, and then there was like a couple games left. He sat out a game or 2 down the stretch, and as a result, it was like, all right, you got to reach for 60. Get to 60, that's incredible. Now, 60 would be a disappointment. Like 60 at this point would mean the wheels fell off a little bit for him at the pace he's currently scoring at. Like he's got 49 in 53 games. They have 28 games left to play. The idea that he would only score 11 times would be shocking. Be shocking. 11 goals in 28 games for 95% of the league would be a great stretch.
That's
for
crazy
him,
to even say that.
It would be like, it's too bad he only ended up with 60. Like if anything, it's going the other way, where it's like, how high can this guy climb? because it's just absurd, the rate at which he's at right now. And again,
isn't he shooting like 24% or something insane?
It's high,
but shooting percentage is like off the charts, which is awesome because it's almost like 1 in 4 shots go in the net. That's basically what it is with him. That's what he's running at right now.
And you look at the way he's scoring goals, like he's added a slap shot to his repertoire. He didn't have that when he came into the league, right? Like he's scoring one-time clappers on a power play, which is what he did against Anaheim. But then, the goal the other night, he comes down Broadway. That's a wide-open net. He just knows how to place it properly. Like, that's where shooting percentage is deceptive. Obviously, if it gets off the charts, it's going to scale back a little bit. But we've had these conversations. A wide-open net from the hash marks for Matthews is not the equivalent of a wide-open net from the hash marks for Bobby McMahon, or Noah Gregor. Like that, Noah Gregor, using him as an example, probably misses the net or hits someone's pad or, where Matthews is just routine. When you're that good and you have that knack for it, it's like, of course he hits the wide open net. But that's the beauty of a great goal scorer is they make it look so simple. But as you guys know, it's not.
No, he subconsciously knows what he has to do. I think there's 10 guys in the league, maybe 10, where it's like if they get that one-timer opportunity, no matter how big the goaltender, no matter the size of the equipment, they're just not getting over there because they know how to place it. It's either under the glove or under the bar, and they're just that good. Because I say only 10 because if everybody was good at it, then every guy in the power play would be taking one-timers and they'd be going to the net. That's just not the case.
Yep.
There's like 10 guys, and Laine used to be in that conversation. Obviously, Ovi. Kyle Connor's a guy now that can really shoot it and score goals. Like when he kind of shoots it and it's a no-doubter. Auston Matthews, William Nylander's a guy that can do it. There's not a lot, man, where they get that one opportunity. It's in the back of the net, and there's nothing a goalie can do.
No, it's got to be again tough for the goalie, for the defense, for the coach. To watch these guys who are the best at their craft, and Matthews is better than everyone. To watch him cruise into the middle of the ice, and you're like, man, this guy's going to do it again. Like he's going to do it again. I'm watching it. Why are you not stopping it? And it's obviously easier said than done because if they could, they would by now. Jason Strudwick coming up. Struddy would take that challenge on in his prime, right? Back in Kamloops, he would have made that stop. Struddy would find a way to shut down Matthews, I'm sure, back in the dub. But
he'd never be on the ice with him.
Well, he would, but then he would try and break his leg or chop his arm or something like that. Like he would have old school, like he would try and chop him down. That's what he would do. Get a penalty.
Which is, that's reasonable. I mean, that's the way the game used to be played. I saw a video recently, like with Yager back in town in Pitt, and they were showing some of his highlights and Lemieux's highlights, and it's as if it's a different sport. Like, it really is a different sport. If you haven't gone back to watch them in the late 80s, early 90s, the slashing, the hooking, the elbows, it's just crazy.
I was talking to Gordon Miller about it yesterday. Like, the era... It is the goal scorer. Everybody is more talented, is hockey school, like as far as insane talent.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at guys like Ovi, who literally had to go against Kaber, who was can opening him, cross-checking him in the back, punching him in the head, and the refs were letting that stuff go. It's a different game. The skill is at an all-time high, but the goaltending is, I think the goaltending's as good as it's ever been. It's been, for me, it's a little bit of reset this year. There's only some top tier. But the argument is what era was tougher to score goals?
Yeah.
And that's it doesn't matter which era these guys are in. The top tier guys still score. It doesn't matter.
No, exactly. But you're right, though. Like, as much as technology is something, is different this year and the rules are different, the goaltending's a lot better.
Still brutal goaltending out there, though, man.
Yeah.
There's some brutal goalies out there.
But also the systems are better now. I think it's more coached. I think the game, was slower back then. You could, it was tougher to get around guys because they'd hack and whack and can opener and all that. I don't know. It is a difficult practice, but it is a good point. It's like what would Matthews, what would McDavid look like with Ken Danico and Scott Stevens on the ice playing by the 1989 rules? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
You don't know.
There's all kinds of different elements to that. There's like fear factor. There's I'll grapple you in the corner and I'll punch you in the face and you're not going to the front of the net. You might be able to skate by them, but the way the rules are now, but if they get a hold of you, watch out.
Yeah, that's the bigger thing is the fear fact. Now you can just go out there with a clear head. You can go out there with a clear, and the best players generally have that as well. But there was an understanding outside of maybe Gretzky. Other guys, like if you want to come to the front of the net, you're going to get hit. Like if you're coming into the middle of the ice, you better have your head up. It doesn't matter who you are. You're getting hit. And that doesn't happen nearly as much anymore.
I would play that video game. If you could just call it a video game and just say matchup, where you could put Scott Stevens, Auston Matthews, and it was just like a drill. Coach dumped the puck in the corner, and who came out with it, and you can go back from any era. Mm-hmm. It's like Guy Lafleur, Zdeno Chara, where you go in the corner, and I'd play it.
It would be unbelievable.
That's where AI needs to go.
Yeah.
That's what we need out of AI, is simulate that puck exact battles. Situation.
Simulate puck battles in the corner, like Guy Lafleur, Chara, Auston Matthews, Scott Stevens. Who's coming out with it? I want to know.
Wouldn't that change a lot of the debates? Because how many times it's like, okay, Michael Jordan versus LeBron. Okay, have AI play each other and see how that unfolds.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Like Tom Brady versus Mahomes, like how would that all unfold? Because of this era, you never know. Like everyone talks about, well, in my era was tougher. This era is different. Mm-hmm. This is faster. This is more skilled. Can't compare, but it just is. It would be awesome to have a game to put that all together.
I mean, and that really is like a core element of the game that I do think you can kind of replicate. Like you throw a puck in the corner, it's pretty basic.
Yeah,
but
Gretzky
everyone
versus
had to
McCarr.
do it.
Who's going to get it?
Yeah, exactly.
Who's coming out?
Like it might be different power plays, penalty kills, rules, sticks, skating, all that. But a puck battle is a puck battle.
Yeah.
It's kind of like offensive line play, defensive line in football. There's the football. You have 5 guys. We have 5 guys. Who's going to win? Like it's not, there's different techniques now and coaching and all that kind of stuff and equipment. But when it's just simply willpower and, who's got the IQ to go in there and win the battle and use their edge work and all that kind of stuff. I'd love to see that. That would be awesome. That would be amazing. Try to go across the middle there with Scott Stevens on the ice. Let's press play on that and see what happens. Oh,
dude, that guy was clipping everybody in a playoff series. We had a meeting. Guys, don't cut across the middle. First period, first shift in the playoffs. Sammy Kaplan right across the middle. And it was like a cartoon explosion. Like it was just like a puff of smoke and gloves were flying in the air. And he came back to the bench and I go, what are you doing? I go, we just said, do not cut across the middle with that guy on the ice. Mm-hmm. I go, not that I do care about you getting killed, but you just gave them all the momentum in the game now because he's skating around like a gorilla out there and he's puffing his chest out and breathing smoke. And it's just like, what? But he just had to do it. Yep. And it's just stupid.
Yep. I hear you. All right. Jason Strudwick coming up. Struddy will join us. We've got... What do we got? Jerry today. Jerry in about an hour. We look forward to that. Nice. The Leafs are in action tonight. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
Yes, the O.
Yes.
This is what you skate out to. I got a couple of other ones. Frank DeChambeau says the final countdown.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That was a good one. My buddy Mark says danger zone, highway to the danger zone.
Oh, yeah. That's a great one.
What was that, Kenny Loggins?
I don't know what it was, but it's like... It honestly makes me feel old to think that was the thing to do, to wheel around with your mullet to those tunes. It's like, that's insane.
Well, and a lot of people are pointing out, and it's 100% accurate, Tom Cochran got a ton of play in OHL rinks. Like
big leagues?
Yeah, my boy's going to play in the big leagues.
God, if you didn't get fired up by Tommy C in big leagues, you didn't have a heartbeat.
It was such a great tune. And then what's his famous song? Is
Life is a Highway?
Life is a Highway. Used to be played a lot too.
Yeah.
Sandstorm by Darude. That's my era. That would be, you guys were too old for that. That came out in like 2000. That was played all the time.
Take a break and give it back. Give us that one.
Yeah, grab
your
Sandstorm.
era.
I'll play this coming in. You guys will know it. This thing was played on repeat every single rink in the O. Every single rink. And I think Canada, when this song came out, it was like mandatory. You had to play it. But yeah, Leafs Arizona tonight. And I guess the last game without Morgan Riley. And he'll return tomorrow in Vegas. It looks like Samsonov will go tonight. So you assume that Jones will go tomorrow. And I guess Joseph Wall has been loaned to the Marlies. We don't know if he's going to play this weekend. I think he should. At some point, he's got to play a game or two in the minors, right?
I love that. I love it for a bunch of different reasons. It's like, go down there and hone your craft and
take your time.
Take your time and get motivated. Because the big leagues is the great league. There's all the bells and whistles. It's like, let's just marinate down there. And I'm not saying that he doesn't appreciate that, but it's just, that'll get you back up in the big leagues. Just go down there and hone your craft.
Yeah, well, it's the right move. You get him down there. He doesn't need, like right now, I think it's a loan. So is it conditioning? Or I'm not sure.
Conditioning.
So conditioning loan. That's 2 weeks. You can go down there, play a bunch of games. You know, the Marlies, for the most part, play on weekends. So you get an opportunity, get some practice time in. Kind of I would say this respectfully, away from the cameras, too. You don't have to step in and play a Vegas or anything like that. You go and get your game in order. And then they'll call him back up, and then they'll have I don't know if the decision is the right word, but Martin Jones will need waivers. You know, that's really what it is. You're gonna, so you might. I would say you keep him down there until after the deadline, and then can you keep 3 up? Like that's the or Jones
that's the question. I think that would be ideal. Is get through the deadline, hope that teams have made their moves. And then at that point, you sneak someone through if you can. If not, maybe you have to have 3 guys on the roster at the same time. Certainly not ideal, and especially at the deadline if they're going to trade picks, prospects, and bring in roster guys. Something's going to have to give. They have money to work with right now, but there's only so many spots. That is something that I'm sure we'll be talking about the next couple of weeks. And again, as of now, going into the game tonight, John Tavares remains on that third line. And that's a bigger story for me. Like, we'll discuss what happens when Riley returns. He returns. He plays where he plays. They'll figure that out. But John Tavares, at no point can I recall him being healthy and playing consecutive games on the third line. Like, I don't remember him being in that situation. And yet, I think it's a wise play. It worked for them the other night. He's got to find a role. He's got to find a way to contribute. And,
that's it. And I told you before it was like, you're going out there, you're one of the guys, you're going out in the power play, you're going out in the top line, and I give Sheldon Keefe or whoever pulled the trigger on that, because that's a difficult transaction to go down, to pull him aside and say, this is your line. I think you would have enough respect for him where you wouldn't, because he used to sit in the locker room and look up at the chalkboard and be like, oh, God, I got to play with those stiffs. Like, are you kidding me?
Right.
But that's not the case for him. But when you see your name on a different board, or you see it would just be a different color jersey hanging in your locker room, you're like, man, he was probably told before, but whoever pulled the trigger on that conversation has got some stones, because it wouldn't have been an easy one to have.
No. He's literally never gone through it at any point in his life. Like, he was 15 in the OHL and probably on the first line and first power play. And he's never been in a position where, he's not power play 1. He's not in the top 6. He's not a guy that, the game plan's revolving around. Doesn't mean he won't get back there. It's 2 games, and they haven't even started the game tonight. It could change by the end of the first period.
Right.
But, as of now, it's pretty substantial.
It is, making $11 million, given who he is, all of that. But it's what you're trying to do is, for me, you're trying to get Domi in a position where he provides that depth. You've got to figure out here the next couple of weeks what you're adding, if you're adding anything in that top 6, or if you're going to trust those players to the fact where you feel like you've got depth down the middle of the ice, because we see that, right? Like, teams
try
that
to
go
take
deep
the
in
positive,
playoffs.
Noodles. Try to take the positive. You're thinking John Tavares, and it is difficult because everybody's got an ego and everybody's got an attitude, and it's difficult not to get mopey. But you got to think to yourself, I could take advantage of a third line. If the Arizona Coyotes wants to toss out their third line, a lot of teams around the NHL, give me the third line, and I'll dominate that centerman in faceoffs, and we'll have the puck the whole night, and we'll work them over and create some opportunities, and they should score some goals.
Yep.
It's an opportunity.
That's right.
It's just getting to a point of thinking of it like that, because everyone gets pissy. It's like if we showed up and somebody came in and said, Hazy, you're working behind the glass with Doogie today, you're producing the show, you'd have a bit of an attitude on.
Yeah, I probably would. You're right. I probably would. But I love Doogie.
There'd be a positive there.
I'd prop up Doogie. in JP. That's what I would eventually
By the way,
find
Dougie
positive.
Gilmore said the Quizmaster was riding around on the bus from Cornwall all around Ontario.
You're kidding me. That's outstanding.
imagine?
Riding Dougie Gilmore's coattails all the way to the big leagues.
We'll get Dougie.
I love it.
Maybe we'll do a double whammy, Dougie and the Quizmaster
All right.
on tomorrow.
For old
Big
time's
OHL
sake.
chat.
I love it.
Awesome.
All right. Ryan Dempster coming up. Spring training officially kicking off tomorrow. We'll get to that. Struddy coming up. Jerry's percentages. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, Sandstorm by Darude in about 15 minutes. All right, I'll play it for you. Struddy's coming up as well. Jerry's percentages. Spring training officially starting tomorrow. Everyone's in town. No, everyone's down in Dunedin. You know, all 30 parks, all 30 facilities throughout Major League Baseball. And we're jacked up. Yet there's a lot of free agents, big-name free agents who are still out there. And to set the scene for the spring, among many other things, one of our favorites joins us now, the host of the Off the Mound show, Marquee Sports Network analyst, longtime MLBer, good Canadian boy. Here's Ryan Dempster. How you doing, Ryan?
I'm good, thanks. And whoever is in charge of bringing us in with the intro music with the Mississippi Queen, that was a nice pull. I like that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we're doing old school
that was good.
CHL hockey songs today, so it's a
Nice.
great day for everyone. Ryan, before we get into
Isn't it awesome how music and sports just coincide? Like, the memories you have of the CHL with those songs playing, and it's cool. It's really
but you
awesome.
feel old because we're talking about like mullet tunes and guitar rock. It's outrageous how old two of the three of us feel anyway. Anyway, spring training started, Ryan, and the comments from Rendon, I'm just curious if you were on that ball club, like, would that warrant a conversation? Or what? You're an old school dude. Like, what would you have thought of those comments where he was like, nah, I just kind of do this to do it?
Yeah, that's a hard one. I mean, in the moment, it's hard because I understand where he's coming from. You know, I have 5 kids myself, and I have a family, and but you're also signing up to try and win a championship. And so when those other guys are all trying to pull on that same rope, you at least want to know that there was kind of the same desire. And maybe it is. It's just how he phrased it. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard for me. I'm not in the room. I read one quote, and I'm like, oh, what else goes into this? What has he been dealing with? You know, so, yeah, it's you want everybody that wants to be there, and it is your job. I get that. But there's 25 other guys in that locker room now that also rely on you to make sure that you're showing up every day physically, mentally. And if you're not, let's talk about it. Maybe that's the bigger conversation. What can we do to help that situation?
Well, you know, a different context, but there's a lot of conversations around the Jays facility about how guys have come in great shape. You know, Manoah's in great shape, and Vladdy looks great. And, you know, we always kind of look at that and we're like, well, you're a professional athlete. Like, isn't that supposed to – isn't that like you're supposed to do that, right? Like, do you get accolades for that? How do your teammates react to that kind of stuff?
Well, it's the best shape of my life. I'm in the best shape of my life, guys.
Yeah.
I had great teammates. Like Millar would always do that. Kevin would always come in spring training and be like, guys, best shape of my life. I'm in the best shape of my life. Right loud into the locker room, into the training room, into the weight room. I'm just going to go over here and curl. I'm as strong as I've ever been. You know, like, get ready. It's coming. The grind of the 162 will now, you're like the 300 going out for ready for battle. Who can hold up?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny, but
yeah, it's fun. I think as guys in the locker room, like, we have more fun with it than anything, and also too, like, good for them. At least they're trying to put themselves in a better position. So as a teammate, I'm like, that's awesome, man. You're trying to help the team win. You're trying to help yourself be the best you can be. Now it's like, let's stick with it.
You just mentioned the grind of 162. You still cool with 162? It's got to be that way, Ryan, or? I know there's money involved and there's gates.
That's a little bit of a farce number now, you know, because there'll be opening day for the Cubs on Friday at Sloan Park, and there'll be 14,000 people, and it's opening day tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So there's another, you know, you're talking 30 spring training games or 30 plus the season, and it is a lot. It's different, but it's a lot of games.
Would you do anything with that?
As long as I think the players would be okay with less games if there was just more like just the money didn't change. Like, you can't take the games away and say we're going to pay less.
That's a conundrum.
Yeah,
you kind of got to play if you want to get paid.
Yeah,
and that's
but
the issue.
At the same time, baseball is pretty fun. I think sometimes the more we play it, the more we lose sight of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like we still get to play a game, so let's take more games.
Yeah.
Where are you at with some of the players where, for example, with the Blue Jays, Manoah, Vladdy, guys like that who come in their best shape? We just talked about, being in shape for spring training. Our mentality, and maybe this is wrong, is if you're a pro athlete, shouldn't you be in great shape all the time? And I know guys have different body types. The priorities are different. Where are you at with guys that, we're giving flowers to, where they're showing up to spring training where they're in good shape? Shouldn't they be in good shape?
Yeah, of course. That's the goal, right? Like, you hope that everybody is coming into camp in shape. And there's a lot of distractions, reality. So there's a lot of distractions that happen, especially when you're successful. You can get caught in going, we call it the banquet circuit. You have a really good season, you get nominated for different things, and maybe you win a Rookie of the Year, or maybe you win the MVP, and it's like, oh, let me go here, I'm going here, and I'm going here. I'll get that workout in on Monday, but then Monday I'm flying back, and it just happens. And they're young, still young men making their way up. I did it. I remember my first off season, all my buddies were working, I had money. They're all going to school or had a job, and I'm just bored. I was going to Earl's eating wings. Like, I was like, what's anybody doing? Like, I can see how it happens to guys. I don't discount it. Now, if it's a cycle where now you get out of shape again, and then you get back in shape, and then it's like, okay, dude, like, you're supposed to be in shape. Yeah, we all have hiccups, and we all go through times, but you are a professional athlete. I think that should be a general requirement of being a professional athlete, but you're allowed to make mistakes. That's also part of being an athlete.
With Ryan Dempster, Bo Bichette was speaking today, and he stated that the Blue Jays are going into this season as underdogs. They've been a playoff team, 2 years in a row. You see it the same way? You think they're underdogs?
I agree with them, yes. I think the teams in the AL East are, on paper and performance last year, are better than the Blue Jays, but that's okay. That was last year. So now you just go out and focus on playing this year, and they still have a really good baseball team with good starting pitching, with the ability to have a ton of offense. Guys have off years for different reasons. Guys battle through injuries we don't know about. I love the moniker of the underdog. I think it's great. When I watched, so I love Rocky so much. He was always the underdog, and it was just like that. And I think it's a great thing. I think it's a great mentality. I think it helps bring out the best in players. There's no content. So yeah, good. I agree with Bo Bichette on that.
Well, yeah, I think he's probably speaking to the masses up here as well. Yet again, they've been in the playoffs 2 years in a row. A few years ago, they just missed out. I think they had 91 or 92 wins. They've been pretty consistently good for a number of years. Yet Baltimore's really good, and they're young. Tampa's always in it. The Yankees should be better. And at the same time, there's fans up in Toronto, and I'm sure the other 29 markets clamoring for more help. And, it's a weird offseason in baseball this year, and it happens every year. It seems more pronounced this year. Like, as a player and as a card-carrying member of the Players Association, I'm curious how you feel about spring training starting and Bellinger's still out there, Chapman's out there, Blake Snell. Like, these are massive names, big players that are still free agents. Like, how can we tackle this, and should it be a high priority for the owners and the Players Association to try to avoid this kind of stuff?
Yeah, the thing I don't understand, like, okay, so Toronto was, supposedly, although we don't know, but maybe they weren't, but it might have been the second or maybe the third, but maybe the first. We don't know the bidding on what they were for Shohei Ohtani, but there was serious interest, right? Big numbers thrown around. And I get the global economic impact that Shohei Ohtani has. But you're also paying that to be a performer on the field. And the ultimate goal is, if you win, especially in Toronto, those seats will fill up. They will be packed. Those fans will go. They will appreciate a good team out there. And they do. They do show up for them. And they will show up at mass levels when you even have a better team. You've seen that when they went through their World Series runs, deep playoff runs. It is electric there. So as ownership, why don't you just, and I shouldn't say as ownership, it's not my job to tell a guy how to manage his money of his team, but like, if you had those funds that you're willing to disperse, I get the reward might not be on a piece of paper where we can analytically prove it, what it will mean to your franchise, but the reward of winning every day and having a chance to truly win a World Series will have a generational impact. It'll be great. You'll develop new fans in Toronto of young kids that fall up in love with the Blue Jays, and it continues this worldwide growth of Blue Jays. Like, I think they're a pretty big franchise from being from Canada, especially in a baseball market. And So I think, why not go get Blake Snell? Load your rotation up. Guys are going to get hurt. You're expecting everything to go right. It doesn't happen. Look what happened. Alec Manoah, they thought he was going to beat Cy Young again, and it was a bad year for him. Maybe he turns around, but maybe somebody else, something happens. That's just what happens. Load up so that people, when they get through your first-line defense, you have a second one and another one. And if that costs you half of what you spend on Shohei Ohtani, you're that much better. And you win, and you just keep winning because you got to keep up with the big boys. Baltimore's good. New York's better, way better. You know, Tampa's always good. I'm not really sure what they're doing in Boston, but that, you know, like that's the truth. And so, like, sometimes I just don't get it. And then is that me saying, well, there's no engagement on the other side? That's going on in places. We've been hearing about it. So I don't know, but I would be like, you have such this great thing with the Blue Jays. They're beloved across the entire country of Canada. And it's more than just one player. It's about keeping that culture of winning going. And if you ask any manager, manager of the year, I have good players. They all say, I have good players. Get more good players. The more good players, the better chance you have. You know,
Yeah.
I don't want competitions anywhere. I want competitions for guys who are going to be pitching in AAA. I want my whole team loaded top to bottom. My guys on my bench. Sorry, you start the year in the minor league. Show me what you got up here, and you might get a chance to come play. That's what I want.
I like that mentality. Let's hope Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro and company were listening. He is Ryan Dempster, host of Off the Mound.
Hi, Ross. Hi, Mark. I know you guys are.
Yeah, we'll see.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. We'll do it again soon. Thank you. There he is, Ryan Dempster of Off the Mound, longtime MLB starter, relief guy, good Canadian boy. Loves wings, beers, CHL hockey.
Oh, that was the thing. Your
music.
first years in the big leagues, when you're in the off season, you'd text your buddy and be like, "Take Friday off. Who cares?" And you would totally disregard their job.
Yes.
I know.
It's like, it's good. We're going to the cottage. Like, just take the day off. I mean, half my buddies they would do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a few buddies that would, on a whim, like, we're going to New York tomorrow. All right, I'm in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in.
All right. Strutty's one of them, I'm sure, although he was in the
Yes.
National Hockey League. But he's coming up. Jerry's Percentage is coming up. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.